Hey everyone, it's me, Christine, the host and creator of Flourish in the Foreign, where we are now. The podcast that elevates, celebrates, and affirms the voices and stories of Black women living and thriving abroad while exploring living abroad as a pathway to wellness. I'm here going live on IG with hopefully as much sun as I can possibly handle or get. We'll see. I might turn on the ring light soon. But anyway, today I'm actually going to be chatting with you guys because I get this question a lot about my experience with the AUXILIAR de Conversación program, which is the program that I initially came to Spain 5 years ago on. I get the question about what was my experience like? What did I do? What was that about? What was it like living in La Rioja? Is it worth it doing the program? All those types of things. So here I am going to do this live to answer everyone's question. And yeah, let us get started. Oh, hey Krisha, how are you? We haven't talked in a minute. We gotta talk. Let's schedule something. Let's chat. Where are you actually too? Where are you? Yeah, where in the world are you? Tell me as I turn on my fan because it is hot in here. How do I do this? Let me do that. Sorry, y'all. Just very unprofessional. Okay, now I'm ready. Okay. So, what is the AUXILIAR de Conversación program? AUXILIAR de Conversación program is a program ran through the Spanish Ministry of Education, and it is opened to native English speakers. I think they also have like a similar but different program for people from the UK, or they did maybe before Brexit, and also for people from the Philippines and India, because I know that there are Auxiliars de Conversación even I think from Australia and South Africa as well. So there's a whole bunch of people underneath this kind of umbrella for sure. So it's ran by the Spanish Ministry of Education. What it is that it's not you being an English teacher, okay? It's easy to kind of just be like, yeah, I teach English, but you're not an English teacher. What you really are is you're an English language assistant. Because you're a native speaker, the English teacher is going to teach English and teach the grammar. And you're going to come in and you're going to help with conversation. And so what that could look like is giving lectures to class, depending on the age, creating PowerPoints, making games. When I was an auxiliar, I had students from 3 years old to 12 years old. So I wasn't giving lectures. I was teaching the 3-year-olds animal sounds in English. And animal sounds vary from language to language. I didn't know that. And the kids, they're like, oh yeah, no. In Spanish, the dog sounds like this. So that's what you are there. You're there to help reinforce the language that they're learning, which actually it's a really cool concept because I learned Spanish throughout elementary school, middle school, and high school. And if we had like a Spanish language conversation assistant, I think that would make a huge difference of it actually retaining in my mind. Also, what's cool is that you get to showcase your culture to the students. So like I said, they can have conversation assistants from all around the world. So they get to learn about your culture and the context of the language within the culture. So yeah, it's actually a pretty cool concept in theory. Because it is one of those things, like a lot of things in life, but definitely a lot of things in the Southern Mediterranean, it really depends on where you are and who you're talking to, for sure. So that is what the program is. You sign up for it, it's for a whole school year. The amount of time you have to work varies between region and region. So I worked 12 hours a week. I worked 12 hours a week, 3 days a week, y'all. We're gonna get to my story in a minute, but okay. Some people have to work I think it was like 12, 15, and like the highest is 18. So still like not part-time, 18 hours a week. Okay, you get a stipend. Again, the stipend is dependent on which region that you live in. I lived in La Rioja, so my stipend was 700 euros a month. I also had healthcare. I'm gonna talk about that too in a minute because it varies from region to region. The highest you can get paid, I think, is 1,000 euros a month, and that would be in Madrid for cost of living. But I mean, nowadays, even before the pandemic and before this kind of inflation, that was pushing it for Madrid, personally, I think. So that is what it is. Yeah. When does it happen? And if you have any questions as I go along, just put them in there so I can come back to it. When is it? Okay, so it's for the school year, but you sign up for the AUXILIAR De Conversación program in January generally, and it is like a first come first serve kind of thing. Like you had to be on your computer. You need to like get your application in, because the lower your application number is like the better chance for you to get placed in general and placed in the region. Now, back when I did it, getting placed wasn't an issue. Like generally everyone got placed, but now is when like a lot of the letters come out, and apparently, I mean, obviously with the pandemic, the interest has blown up, and so there is a lot of fear that people are not going to get placed. What, girl? Yes, inflation. I gotta do a video just about inflation here in Spain, because I went to the grocery store and I was like, because I didn't used to spend all this money at the grocery store. I'm definitely not spending as much money as y'all are spending for your groceries, for your like organic foods. But I was very comfortable not spending all this extra money. Yeah, boo inflation. Boo, 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 boo. Also the housing market in Spain right now, well, not in Spain, like in the major cities in Spain, oof, they're crazy. It's insane. Insane. Anyway, back to the task at hand. So that is when you apply for it in January. You need to be on your P's and Q's, do it. You find out if you get placed generally in May. They'll tell you like, you got placed, and this is the region. And then like in June, you'll get a letter that will tell you the school, the city or the pueblo you'll be in, and that's the letter that you need to go get your visa at the Spanish consulate and figure out where you're gonna live and all those cool things, right? How do you do it? Well, the application process is this. It's in Spanish, but you can use Google Translate, so don't worry about that. You need a letter of recommendation. You can get it from your friend. I got my friend to write it for me. It doesn't have to be in Spanish, so don't worry about that. And then you have to write a letter of intent. I think I wrote mine in Spanish, but you don't have to. There is like age requirements. I think you need to be like at least 21, I think. And then like the cutoff might be like 65 or 55. And I'm saying that because I know there's been a lot of changes within the program, which I'm going to get to. A lot of changes that are very interesting, actually. And I got thoughts on it. So that is, what did I say? How, yes, that's generally what it is. You apply for it. You do need to have a college degree. I don't know how they would check that though. I probably shouldn't say it on the internet, but like, you can upload a picture of your degree. That's why I didn't even upload transcripts. I just took a picture of it in the frame. I was like, here you go. Yeah, and also the application, you get to choose your region. And so it'll give you like all of the comunidades that are participating. So all the states in Spain that are participating, you have to put them in order. And they give you like the top 3. And then also you have to say like, do you prefer small, like less than 50,000 people, or you want big city and stuff like that? Here's the thing though. Everybody wants to come and go to Barcelona. And Barcelona is one like notoriously hard to even get placed within the province. Well, not the province, within the city of Barcelona for sure. And if you are placed within the province, it's going to be like you're gonna be taking the commuter train, okay? So it's not super, I don't know what y'all think it's gonna be. It's not Emily in Paris, okay? And then also people are like, oh, I'm gonna be in Madrid, but you'll be like, you have to think, Madrid is not just a city. Madrid is a city, it's a province, and it's a comunidad. So like, you could be anywhere, okay? So that's generally how it goes. This application, fill it out, you get an inscrita number, which is like your registration number. Then it turns into, I forget what it's called, when you're like officially in the system. Because you have to actually print out documents and send them to the regional director. Okay, so that's generally the process, generally. Also, there's so many blogs, there's so many Facebook groups about this program. Don't worry, you will, and it's in English or in other languages. Don't worry, you will know how to do it. Don't worry about it. Okay, why would you do the AUXILIAR de Conversación program? Okay, I will tell you this. I think a big reason, well, the reason why people do this program varies. It varies from person to person. So some people are coming out of college and they maybe didn't take a gap year, so they're kind of utilizing this as a gap year. Some people are, I don't know, they just love Spain or they just want to adventure. Some people are teachers and they don't want to teach in the US and they're trying to see like, what would it kind of be like teaching in Spain? Although trying to teach in Spain, like it's not just you move to Spain, you're a teacher. It's a whole process. You have to get your degree basically adjusted and like the equivalency, it's like translated in equivalency. And like being a teacher in Spain is a big deal because it's a job that comes with a lot of perks. You basically can't get fired. There's like no performance evaluations. You get paid really well, considerably, considering, and you know you have a lot of rights. So it's a tough gig to get. You have to take a test called the oposiciones. It's a whole thing. So, but some people are like, yeah, I just want to come and see what that would be like. But also, that's if you work for actually in like public schools. You could come and teach in the private international schools, which could be very lucrative, but that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. So back on script. Okay, why else? You just need a break. I need a break. So I came to Spain. I originally walked the Camino de Santiago in 2014, and when I was walking the Camino de Santiago, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna move to Spain. But I thought I was gonna move to Spain in many different ways. Like I did not think I was gonna move and be a teacher or auxiliar. Like it was not on my radar. Well, it was on my radar, but I didn't want to do it because I was like, I'm not a teacher. But it is a really easy way to come legally to Spain and figure it out. And so I was just at a point when I finally did come in 2017, 3 years later, I was super burnt out and I just needed a break. I needed relief. And I just was like, if I'm in Spain, I can figure it out. But I'm also that type of person. Not everybody's like that. I'm that type of person, so that's exactly what I did. I was like, all I need to do is like get in the country and I can figure it out. And that's what I did. So for me, it was a stepping stone to my life abroad. So yeah, that's generally where do you get placed? Anywhere that they do the program. So any of the comunidades, once you're placed though, you can't really move around. A lot of people are like, you can switch and and I'm like, I don't know anyone who successfully switched. So you just you go where you go, and you get one school and maybe you get two schools, those types of things. That's like the where. Now let's get to my experience, shall we? Unless you guys have questions. So okay. I came to Spain and I was placed in La Rioja. So when I first moved to Spain, I was in Barcelona for a month or so, and then I moved to La Rioja. I had been to La Rioja, and the capital of La Rioja is Logroño. And I'd been there several years before when I walked the Camino de Santiago, because it goes right through there. So I actually requested La Rioja. And La Rioja is the smallest comunidad in all of Spain. So I was like, oh yeah, I had like really fond memories. So I was like, yeah, I want to go there. So I got placed there. And at the time, this was 5 years ago, no one was really checking for La Rioja like that in the auxiliar program. No one was. And for good reason, because it's quite small. The capital is like a town. It's not like a city to me. I don't know. So I landed in Spain. I try to find an apartment. I go up to La Rioja twice to look for an apartment. This is important to note, okay? Probably generally in Spain or the Southern Mediterranean, these are some rules you need to abide by. Usually people take off all of August for vacation. So if you're trying to come early and find an apartment, it's gonna be really hard. In September is when all the university students come, so you have that competition. So the program begins for La Rioja in October. Some regions it starts in September. So I came at not really great time, right? There's university students that I'm competing with because there's a university in La Rioja. Also, it was San Mateo, and San Mateo is a very important, I guess maybe it's a patron saint of La Rioja. I actually don't know that. But it's a very important festival in La Rioja because it's a festival for wine making and harvest, and La Rioja is known for its wine. So I came, yeah, I booked like a hostel for like 2 days. And I was like, yeah, that's enough time. I'm like, I'm gonna come up here, I'm gonna get this apartment, I'm gonna go back to Barcelona, I'm gonna like, I'm gonna dip. How about I'm like in La Rioja, nobody's picking up the phone, no one's responding to my emails. The apartments that I'm seeing are like horrible. And I'm like, and then I try to extend my stay at the hostel, and they're like, oh no, we're booked. We're booked. I was like, I'm gonna be homeless in Spain. I was freaking out, and I was like, I was just have like all my stuff. I didn't have all my stuff. I had like my little carry-on and my stuff on a bench while everyone is drinking wine and being merry, and I'd be like, ugh. That didn't happen, but that's exactly where my mind went. I was like, what the hell? So don't be like me. Book more accommodation. Don't just be like, oh, I'm just gonna zip. Like, I don't know why I thought that. Like, at that point, I had never rented an apartment in a foreign country. So it was like really bold for me to be like, yeah, let's do it. Y'all, oh my goodness. This is what happened though. So in Spain, there are several different housing platforms. I looked on Idealista and Fotocasa and Mil Anuncios maybe, and just all of them. I was looking for an apartment. Nobody was responding, or the apartment sucked. So I was like, dang, what am I gonna do? Here's a trick. Utilize this, because this actually might be helpful for y'all, regardless around the world where you are. I found a website. It's called, what's it called? Bolsa de Pisos. But don't look that up, because I think that's like specific to La Rioja. Or maybe it's just a general phrase. It's like a housing exchange. Maybe that's the translation for the University of La Rioja. So I go on there. It's called Bolsa de Pisos, and why I bring that up is that if you are having trouble finding accommodation, try to find the housing exchange or whatever for a university, because they're expecting students, which could be good or bad. Like, it could be like a nice in-between, meantime between time if you haven't found long-term accommodation. Because it's gonna be set up, and it's gonna be probably way cheaper than Airbnb, right? So it'll be set up, it'll have things in there. It won't be like blank. So that's a good tip. Write that down. Anyway, so I find this apartment that's so beautiful, and I'm like, can I rent a room in your apartment? Because that's actually what I was first gonna do. I was like, I'm just gonna rent a room. And they were like, no, we want to rent the entire apartment. Sorry, bye. And I was like, dang. And I like sat there for like maybe 15 minutes. I was thinking about it. And I had messaged the landlord via WhatsApp. And I noticed that he had like the justice scales in his profile picture, and I was like, oh, I'm a lawyer too. So I was like, oh, hey, I see you're a lawyer, so am I in the United States, and da-da-da. And I was like basically trying to like finesse it, like just rent me a room. And he was like, no, but that's cool. So then I was like, okay, can I rent the room? Can I rent the apartment? And can I rent the rooms out? And he was like, yeah, that's fine. Y'all, I was like, can I see the apartment today and move in today? Because I don't got no place to stay. This is a true story. Don't be like me. Don't be like me. Saw the apartment. It's in like, it's like a street right before the old town Logroño. So cute. Great location, right? If you know anything about La Rioja, gastronomy is amazing. They have, it's a big pincho culture. So like all the pincho streets where you go from like place to place to place. We're literally like 2 minutes walking from my apartment. It was a great location. And it's a beautiful apartment. And I was just like, I went in and I was like, it was like high ceilings, exposed brick. The like master bedroom had a bathtub. Y'all, in Spain, they don't be liking bathtubs. That's a whole conversation in and of itself. I could talk for hours about why these people don't like bathtubs and how they're missing out in life. But that's the other thing. Had its own private bathroom and bathtub. Big room. Maybe I'll do a YouTube video and show pictures of it. Maybe I'll do that. Terrace. I was like, yes. He's like, what do you think? I was like, yes. He's like, all right, well, me and my family go to lunch. You know, you get the cash and like we could do this. So that's how I got an apartment. About to be homeless. It's not funny. In La Rioja. And that apartment in 2017, three bedrooms, 2 baths, very large living room. It was on the 2nd or 3rd floor with an elevator in Old Town Logroño, next to all the things. That apartment was 520 euro. 520 euro. I know. I don't think it's 520 euro now, but that's what it was then. So I say that because cost of living and things like that, as I told you before, my stipend was 700 euros a month. But I rented out those 2 rooms, covered all of my living expenses, and I actually did some teaching on the side, doubled my money. Y'all, I doubled my money, I doubled my stipend, didn't pay anything for accommodation, worked 12 hours a week for 3 days a week, and I was like never home. I was like always in Barcelona. So I was like, there's that's that thing, okay? That was my experience. So I moved to La Rioja, start school. This is the thing. I have 2 schools, one in the city center and one in a pueblo called Alberite. And I think the biggest question I get is like, what is it like? Well, I always get the question like, what is it like being a Black woman in Spain? And I got a lot of that on my podcast, so listen to that. But what is it like being a Black woman in like La Rioja, in a small comunidad, in the capital of this, right? It's a very agricultural kind of place. And I would say that generally, like I was walking around down the street and nobody was staring at me. I feel like people in Madrid stare a lot more. But I think it's just Madrid. That's another conversation for another time. Didn't get stared at. Nobody was like, oh my God, negra. Oh, chocolate. I don't know. No one said that to me. When I went to school, were they surprised I was Black? I don't know, because you know what? The like my supervisor teacher, Jesus, shout out to Jesus, actually found me on Facebook, so probably not. He was always super, super kind, super awesome. Also, though, a lot of the teachers, whether they were English teachers or not, had traveled and studied English abroad, whether it was Ireland or UK, so probably not. Also, La Rioja, at least at the time, and I think still for a very couple of years, has like the top public education system in Spain. So like it's like a different kind of vibe in a way. I'll just say that. So I had 2 schools. My teachers were like, cool. Now this is an issue. Some people go to these schools and are exploited. Like they feel like their teachers disrespect them. They say crazy stuff to them. They make them work more hours or do things they feel uncomfortable with, or they have like crazy schedules where they'll work 12 hours a day, but they're at school like 5 days a week in like weird like chunks of time, and they have like these long breaks where they can't really do anything. I didn't have that because I went to Spain as an adult. Like I came with like professional experience, and I basically was like, this is what I propose doing. Actually, before I even went to school, I wrote them emails and was like, hi, I'm Christine. This is my experience in my life. This is why I'm excited to do this. And this is what I would like. I would like to work 3 days a week. I was like, I would like to do this, this, and this, and this. And I think they were maybe impressed with the fact that I came with an idea and a game plan, even though I never taught before. I think that helps confidence. And also, I think they saw me in action. I'm not a teacher, but like, I can improv a little bit. So I worked it out. And so that kind of gave me free reign to do whatever I wanted to do in the classroom, which was cool, actually. They would give me like suggestions like, we're learning about farm animals, like little babies. And I'm like, got you. We're going to do this, this, and this. Lots of singing, lots of games, a lot of pitting students against each other. They love that. It's great. With like no prize either. I was like, you're just the winner. And they're like, that's enough. That's enough for children. So my experience was really quite good. I didn't have any drama with like anything at school at all. Like nobody tried to talk to me crazy. I will say that the teachers were like, okay, it's a black woman, sure. The students were more like, what? Who are you? You speak fluent English? For real? And how about this? I got it the most from the school in the city center, which people would call like the immigrant school, which I didn't understand at the time. I was like, maybe I don't understand the translation. Like, what are you talking about? It's the black and brown school. So like, and maybe they're first generation, but some were second generation. Like it was just like the neighborhood. So it was like Pakistani people from Mali, from Romania, Morocco. Like it was a black and brown school with some like vanilla flakes in there too. Those kids were like, where are you from? America? You're a lawyer? You speak English? And that was cool because, you know, in Spain, because it's homogenous, it's a white country, but there are people who are second generation, third generation Spanish. That would be Chinese Spanish, Pakistani Spanish, Afro Spanish, and they still have feelings, they struggle with feeling accepted, right? Because people will be like, you're not Spanish. Spanish people are all white, apparently. Interesting considering the history. So them seeing, you know, a black woman from America speaking, you know, quite good English, I would say, lawyer, and just try to affirm them because they speak multiple languages too, right? So these kids are not just like, oh, I speak Spanish and I speak English. They speak so many different languages and try to affirm that for them. That was a really important experience for me. So that was good. And then in my other school in the Pueblo, those kids were something else. They were good though. But some of them got rowdy. 2nd grade. I don't know about that. It's a very interesting age. But was I given any kind of flack or anything like that because I was black? No. Did little girls, when I touched my hair? Yes. Did I let them? Absolutely not, because I'm not that person. So, all right, that's not gonna happen. And something else that happened, you know, in Spain, they're very cuddly with children, which I was like, don't touch the kids, because you're not supposed to touch kids. Like, don't touch them. And they're not. They are like opposite. They're like, not just like hug, but like cuddle kids, kiss them, like very hands-on. So the kids would want to do that with me, and I'd be like, oh, pat, because I was so awkward. So awkward. So that, in general, was my experience. You know, I taught from 3 years old to 12 years old. So from singing songs and listening to Peppa Pig and trying to understand what three-year-old Spanish children who don't even have a grasp of the Spanish language trying to speak to me in English with a British accent. Like, what is this, you know? To 12-year-olds who are like, I'm tapped up. You know, it's like the same dynamic all around the world. Like, kids are kids are kids. So funny, so interesting. That was my experience. I will also say that there were like cultural differences, right? So in the United States, if it's your birthday, everybody buys you stuff. In Spain, if it's your birthday, you buy like the rounds of drinks. You bring the food to school to feed everyone. And I was like, oh no. My birthday's during winter break, so I didn't have to worry about that. But I was like, what? It's your birthday. And they're like, yeah. So I bring everything for everyone else. And I was like, my brain literally says no because it's my birthday. So that was a big cultural change, like shock. And so when at the end of the school year, and I was leaving, everybody's like, oh, so we're gonna have like a party? And I was like, oh, I guess I'm bringing the drinks. Okay, so I had to bring the stuff for both schools. Another thing is like during my lunch break at the school in the city center, we'd go out for coffee, and I'm an introvert. So after talking to kids for how many hours, I was like, I just want to sit in the teacher lounge and be left alone. No. You do need to you need to socialize. Spanish people are very social, and it is seen as like rude. And I get it, but I'm like, but I'm just an introvert. But no, you go for coffee every time that you're invited. And you invite people. Like, you just go. You just go for coffee. You just do it. Even if they're talking about things, you're like, I don't know. I don't even know the PE teacher. I don't care. You go. That's it. Another thing is that you can drink during school hours. That's not an issue. Now, okay, people are not taking shots that I know of. But it's not unusual to have like a glass of red wine. I think especially in maybe La Rioja, I would be walking to school at 8 a.m. and people would have a glass of wine with their tortilla. So it's like, I'd be like, or a beer. I'd be like, what? And they're like, just starting off the day right. So there's that. I remember I asked one of the teachers, I was like, oh, but we have school. And they're like, yeah, that's why we're drinking this red wine. And actually, I got invited to the Christmas party. This was a cultural experience. I got invited to the Christmas party, and it was on a Thursday. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was like on a Tuesday. It was on a day that there was definitely school the next day. So it was Thursday or Tuesday, something that I definitely had to go to school the next day. And they were like, okay, we're gonna meet at 8. And I was like, 8? I was like, yeah, well, you know, Spanish people, they do have like the late dinners. Okay, I'm gonna meet at 8. Why is it that I meet them? They gave me the address, and it was at a bar. And they're like, hey, Christine, let's get a drink. I was like, I thought we were going to dinner. They're like, yeah, but we're gonna have a drink first. I was like, oh no, it's gonna be that kind. It's gonna be. I'm not going home in 2 hours. I'm not gonna be in my bed in 2 hours. No. So we first went out for drinks and, you know, chit chat, and then we all walked to the restaurant, had a whole reservation, long table, you know, and we had course after course after course. And they were like, oh, Christine's vegan, so they just brought all this like mushrooms and rice, I don't know, like lettuce, like there's like, oh yeah, anything vegan you got back, just bring it out. So we had course after course after course, and I was like so full. And also we're drinking wine, like we're just pouring it, and I'm trying not to drink because I'm like, I'm not trying to get all loose in front of my coworkers. I am not that person. I'm like, you get to see professional, that's it. Just drink, and they're making fun of me because I'm not drinking, because everyone's loose, because they're like, oh, you can't drink, and I'm like, I'm not taking the bait. So I'm like, I'm going to school tomorrow. Like, what are you talking about? Like, no. Drink it, eating. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so full and tipsy. And it's like maybe 11:30. And I'm just like, when will this end? When will it end? Okay, 11:30. Postre. So dessert and coffee. And I'm like, okay, we're wrapping it up. Okay, we're wrapping it up. Just hold on, Christine. Hold on. Midnight. Chupitos! Shots. I was like, Jesus. I think like a little tear came out. I was just like, because the thing is, like, I was so close to my house. I was like literally 2 minutes away from my house. So I was like, I could feel the warmth of my bed. And I was just like, why? I'm so full. I'm so like tipsy. I'm trying to keep it together. They're making fun of me. They want to drink more. And I'm just like, leave me alone. So we have shots because I'm trying to be a good sport. Okay, we're finished. You know, and then we're talking. It's like 1 a.m. I'm like, okay, see you guys tomorrow. What? We're going out to the club, Kristen. We have school tomorrow. They're like, we don't care. We're going out. I'm like, I'm going home. They're like, oh, boo. I was just like, I can't believe this. You know, I used to live in Miami. Okay, I had a life. I had a whole different life. I know how to do things. Getting booed by Spanish people in like small town Rioja. That's a cultural difference, okay? That's a cultural difference. Now, are there tons of black people in La Rioja? No, I would say no. 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 All the black people I know in La Rioja were auxiliars. So they were all foreigners. But there was actually a bunch of them. So we had a whole crew. So that was cool. And it wasn't weird. But just in general, like a black community, no. I feel like there was a lot of black children adopted by white parents. Or maybe I noticed it more in La Rioja. So I'd be like, whose child is this? I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I would say that. And, okay. But let me actually go back to some of the nuts and bolts that probably have changed since I was there. So I was there from 2017 to 2018. And at the time, the stipend was €700. And I had excellent, like top tier, it's called, what would be in DKV in English, insurance, like top tier premium insurance. Like I went to the gynecologist that was closest to me and she's like a renowned fertility specialist. And I was like, what? Why am I even here? But I was like, okay, sure. Like it was great. It was all covered and included. Now, what I've heard is a couple things. There's now like a limit on how many times you can do the program in general, which there never used to be that. I think there used to be a limit on like Madrid, like you could only be in Madrid for 3 to 5 years, but generally you could do the program for 20 years, I guess. People had done the program, they'd like come after college and just set up a life and did the program year after year. Now I'm hearing that there is a cap for everyone, like, and it's 5 years in general, I think, and only 2 years in one specific comunidad, which I think is kind of weird and bogus, because if someone wants to like live somewhere, let them live, you know? It's not like there's a general strong competency of English in all of Spain, so it's not like this is not needed. There's that. In La Rioja, I did hear that they changed their health insurance and they went the complete opposite way from like Cadillac to catastrophic insurance. Like, so that is something to be aware of too, because that could be a problem. I've also heard that they have issues paying on time, which La Rioja never used to have problems paying on time. In fact, I used to get paid early, and in the regions that had a lot of problems paying on time are like Catalonia, Valencia, maybe Murcia or something like that. Like those are the regions that were like notoriously bad, but definitely Valencia and Catalonia. But now I've heard La Rioja has issues paying on time, and like, look, I don't got time for that, right? Like, no one has time for that. I used to get paid early. No. So that's hopefully something to consider. Now, specifically, shout out to Brianna, because Brianna actually asked me this question recently, in which spurred me to finally make this video. Now, if you got placed in La Rioja and you wanted to be placed somewhere else, should you take it or should you wait to the next year and hope? I don't know. It depends on like what is your purpose in coming to Spain. What do you want to do? Like, if you want to travel and if you want to kind of kick it, I would say just come to La Rioja. An issue with La Rioja is it very well connected to the other parts of Spain? Not really. Only because, like, you can take the train to Barcelona in 4 hours. That's the fastest it'll get you there. But to get to Madrid, you have to take the bus. To Bilbao, you take the bus. You could actually fly. La Rioja has an airport. You can take a plane to Madrid, but it has really weird hours, and it only flies to like Madrid and like Gran Canaria or like La Palma or something very strange. So there's that. But you could go to like Galicia. You could go to other places, and it goes through like Navarra and Aragon. So you go to Zaragoza. It just depends on what you're looking for. What do you want to do? Because you could come to Spain, do your school year, decide it's not for you, move on with your life. You could utilize it, take it, switch regions next year, and have a better experience or a different experience. It really depends. So it's hard to answer that kind of question of like, should you take this job or should you hold out or whatever? I mean, it just depends. You can always go to Madrid. Madrid does have Melanin in Madrid. All the black people, they have like Juneteenth parties. Like they have stuff where you'd be like, wait, what? What are y'all doing? All this melanin and blackness having fun. But I went down, but I did actually go down to Madrid to hang out. So at least a couple times, but then I usually was in Barcelona. So there is that. That is my experience with the AUXILIAR de Conversación program. I think I answered most of the questions. Also in Spain, you have like tons of festivals and holidays, so you don't have to like, you work whenever you, like, it's not a lot of work. it's not a lot of work, so you can work whenever you feel like it, basically. And yeah, I think for me, the AUXILIAR de Conversación program can be a really good like jumping off point. It could be a really good gap year for you, regardless of how old you are. It could be a really good just time for yourself. I think the people who have the most success though, or have the best time, are people who have like some savings, so you don't have to stress out about getting paid. Maybe you get your own apartment, and live that kind of life. And you have the funds to travel. So because if you're just utilizing just your stipend, maybe it won't be enough, especially with like how prices are going. Maybe it won't be enough for you to have like the crazy fun time you want to have. Maybe it will. I don't know. Use BlaBlaCar. You could do a lot of different things to travel around. But if you have some savings, and I think it'd be a really cool time to have, and you get to travel a lot. Also, the cool thing about La Rioja is, one, the food. Like wine. There's so many freaking wineries, and so good. And I love, like, you go on tours and it's like history, and some of them do it like just like history and like sciencey, and some of it's like history and like mythology. Like they have a whole like mythology for like their family brand. It's really interesting. And you get to drink great wine, and the wine is so affordable, it will ruin you. You will never want to order a glass of wine at any restaurant or a bottle of wine, because you'd be like, how much? Oh no. Absolutely not. That also, there's just beautiful nature. I did hiking, I did biking, I did hot springs. Yeah, I did hot springs a lot. That was fun, definitely. So there's things to do to investigate and explore the region. Also, you have País Vasco, Basque Country, like right there. So you could go to País Vasco, learn some euskera if you want to, go to San Sebastian, kick it. It's a really beautiful region, so there's a lot of nice things to do. Go to Pamplona, you take the bus to Pamplona, go to France, go to Bordeaux actually. Yeah, you could do that. You could probably take the bus, or maybe a train and a bus to Bordeaux. So it really is what you make of it. It really is. But that is what the conversación, that's what the Auxiliar de Conversación program is. It's a way for you to help Spanish children and people to have a better grasp of English, expose them to your culture, while, getting a visa to stay in the country, getting paid, having health insurance, and be able to explore it. But I think it is definitely whatever you make it. And like most things, whatever you make it, it is going to be what it is. And yeah, that is my talk on Auxiliar de Conversación. Do you have any questions about Auxiliar de Conversación or about Spain or about anything else? If not, I'm going to wrap this up right now. Any questions about Spain at all? If not, any questions about Spain, any questions about Auxiliar de Conversación, if you're watching this in replay, you can put it in the comments below. So that might be helpful and I can answer it there. Or I might do another video, I don't know, I might do a video specifically about living in La Rioja, living in Barcelona, living in Valencia. I might do that, but that'll probably be on YouTube. Okay, all right, thank you so much for sticking around. Thank you guys for checking it out. As always, remember, it is not about moving abroad. It is definitely not about just being abroad. It is about thriving abroad. So go abroad and cultivate a life well lived. See you next time. Bye.